It is Monday. Good morning, and welcome to this week's Monday Motivation as we are talking about coring ourselves, getting to the core of yourself. I want to say, how was everyone's weekend? Lines are open. If you want to call in, we are talking about getting into the core of ourselves. And what I want to ask you guys is, first of all, what are you thankful for? What is everybody thankful for? I'm going to tell you what I'm thankful for. Our new radio show at Vibe Talk After Dark. Go check it out just in case you haven't. We have a YouTube page at Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Please join that, as you will not miss a beat. It's free, so why not? Everybody today should be thankful for something. And if you have nothing to be thankful for, I want today to be for you as if it is your first time being readjusted in that. Because if you look around, there is always something to be grateful for. So what are you thankful for? Today's thought is inspired by this one. The core of your true self is never lost. Let go of all the pretending and the becoming you've done just to belong. Curl up with your rawness and come home. You don't have to find yourself, but more or less you have to come to the realization that you are who you are. I want you all to think about this as you find yourself. You just have to let yourself in. You and I, we talk about keys, and we talk about our being able to access ourselves. How are you all doing with that? And I see my co-host. I will be able to let you in. And there you are. Thank you so much. There you go. And let's try that again one more time. Please and thank you. We are live, everybody. And if you want to come on over here and join us, we're on our Facebook page at Vibe Talk. It's the only one with a lion there. Today's assignment is going to be a fun assignment, I assure you. Trisha, you should try that one more time. If you can, let me see what I can do on this end. Yeah. I don't know how many like apples, but I do. I like apples. I do. And there you are. Good morning. Can you hear me okay? You're very low. I can't hear you. Good morning to Nico. Good morning. I can't hear you, Trish. Can everyone else hear? Because I cannot hear. Yeah, there's something wrong with the mic. Hello? Are you still there? Yeah. Can you go in and come out? Because I can't hear you. Okay. Sorry, guys. Sometimes we have technical difficulty, and that's okay. That just lets you know that we're live, but I want you guys to be able to have sound. Sound. And let's see where we're going with this. Let's try to. Okay, request. And my audience. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So if everybody can hear me okay, we're waiting for my co-host. Usually we do sound checks, and sometimes depending on where we are, weather permitting or something like that, Trisha's way in Carolina and I am way in California. So sometimes, yeah, sometimes things happen. We're gonna keep trying this morning. Keep trying. And I'm going to just, okay. So getting to the core of every matter is important. Here's what you're going to need today. One apple. But if you're wanting to be more advanced, I want you to get 2 apples. One of each color if you have that. Because some people may like green apples, some people may not. And we're going to use these apples, and you're going to see what we're going to do. We've done this assignment, but not to the degree that we're going to do it, being that many of you come in and you've been here before. Lines are open, by the way. 661-503-8993. Please know that those lines are simply for your being able to connect either directly or leave a voicemail. You can even text there. That is available to you. And don't forget to leave your contact number, because if we don't have it, we certainly can't get back to you, and we'd love to do that. So thinking about the core of you is thinking about the apple. And so today, Trish, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, because I checked my mic. I didn't know if it was me or not. Good morning to you.
Good
How are
morning.
you? And what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for being in a good mood this morning. That's what I'm thankful for.
I love that. There's always something to be grateful for. Always something to be grateful for. So as we get into the core of ourselves, its connection to us, the only way to get to the core of the apple is to embrace it. Embrace it. First, you're acknowledging it for those of you who have gotten the apple. And I want to tell you something too. If you don't have an apple, it's okay. This is where you can be expressive through art. We have a lot of artists out there. Beautiful artwork, Trish. Speaking to you and so many others that I've seen. Thank you. And you can draw, you can be creative. You see that core that you're trying to get to? That actually is the starting of what is a beautiful, delicious apple. It has cover. You get the seed. And then first the seed is planted and you get the environment ready for it to be able to take root as a sprout or plant. As you are taking note of its growth, it takes a while for it to be nurtured. And as you cultivate it and take care of it, it becomes what you are now looking at. Now, you still need to do something to be able to really see into that apple. And if you've ever watched someone cut an apple, a lot of people will peel the skin away. How many of you have seen that?
I have.
Yeah. And when you've seen that, it's because, oh, they don't like the skin and they want to get down to the part of that apple that's the yummiest. You know, the kind that drips down and gets into your hand. Granny Smith, for me, does that for me. Love green apples. You will today never see the apple the same again. Now, in our fairy tales, you can have a forbidden apple. Snow White. Remember when Snow White was brought the apple and she was given that as a pretense offering? We all know the story of that. Today we are not taking toxic apples. We're going to be able to look into the center of ourselves by discovering things, the rawness. Every time we come here, we're able to take something home. By the way, today's song is Diana Ross's It's My House. You know that song? That's a song for today's reel. And you're going to understand why. Because the very essence of the core of you is your house. It's where you live. And in order for you to access that house, you must let yourself in. I say this a lot. I say, get to know yourself. If I could write it in the sky, that would be my message for today's motivation. Get to know yourself. Good morning and welcome. We're talking about getting to the core of ourselves. Getting to know yourself before you ever get to know another person is a recommendation to everyone and anyone. You see, by getting to the core of the apple, you get to embrace, you get to acknowledge, you get to engage. To be able to tell me what the experience of the apple core or getting to the apple core really is. You get to do that. And the experience of getting to know yourself is like no other experience. You know, apples come very raw. And if you've ever saw an apple tree, it's not going to be sweet at first because it's got to get ripe. If you've been to an apple farm or you know someone that has an apple tree, then you have experienced what are the stages of apples. And if you pick them off of a tree, you know when they're ready and ripe. Some people like apple pie, while other people just like the raw apple. You see, I'm giving you a choice to be able to choose in your life what you want to be. Do you want to be the rawness of yourself or something covered over? Some people find it very hard to become themselves. I don't want you to have to pretend. And let's start with pretending and how I mean that. Because we're talking about the apple core. We've got to peel away the skin, right? And when I say peeling away the skin for a human, you're going to be able to take layers from yourself and engaging yourself layer by layer. Have you all started to do that yet? Or have you understood the layers of yourself? Did you even know that you had it? There are so many layers of you. You say no? And tell us where you're from. And if we could have first name or initial of the name, let's start with that today. That's getting to the core of ourselves too. And that's only because we're live and I want you guys to be able to. Bob! Hi, Bob. Bob from Ohio. Good to see you again in our program. Yeah, there are layers of yourself. Good morning for those who are joining. Please give us your first name and where you're listening in from, what state, please, and thank you as we talk about the core. You're going to discover something about yourself today. There are layers to each and every one of us. In order for us to get to the layers of ourselves, we must begin to establish or first define the layer parts of ourselves. You know, when you get to understand the apple, you say, "Wow, so an apple, I can plant the seed, and as long as I take care of it, it's going to make layers to be able to come to my table, and I can acknowledge it." Everyone has acknowledged an apple, right? You know, when you go to the store, you know what an apple looks like. There are some apples that I've never even seen before. What am I trying to tell you? That there are layers of many different kinds to the very essence of yourself. Think about that. If there are so many apples in the world, there's so many versions of ourselves. There's so many layers to us. Yes, it gets very, very deep. Bob asked how many layers? So many that we spend time. And that's what I want you guys to start doing. The first layer to yourself, getting to know who you are. You know, sometimes people spend years getting to know their relationships and other people and wanting to establish that. We thrive off of that because we're human. There are layers of us. Let's start with this. What is your favorite color, Trish? And then Bob and whoever else. That's the first layer of us.
My favorite color is green.
Mine is orange. And Bob's is black, right? We've established everybody chooses their favorite color. You ready for the second layer? Here is the why. That was easy to say what our favorite color is. You're going to be able to answer your own question today, Bob. I like that question and keep them coming. And how it relates to the apple. Now, why do you like green, Trish? And Bob, why do you like black? I like orange. It's my favorite color. Why do I like orange? Because orange is what I would call the center of me. Warmth. I want to work on being more inviting. And it makes me happy. Bob says because it's a cool color. Okay, you think it's cool, but why? And it's going to get tougher, guys. We're going to do the Apple experience, and you will, I promise you, never look at the apple again the same. And we hope you like apples. If you have an apple, please get one out so that you can enjoy the experience. If you don't, draw one or paint one. It's a cool color, but let's go a layer deep. All the whys are parts of your layers. Good morning for those of you who are coming in. If there is a blue on the right or left side of your screen, I would like each of you to tap on that and subscribe to our channel today, our YouTube channel. Please and thank you. It's free. And let me know when you've done that. Thank you so much. It's free. Just tap on that. That way you can see that we do have a YouTube channel. Let's say you come here and we're not here. You'll find all of our segments there. If you like our channel, and some of you keep returning, and we're so grateful for that. It's on left hand side. Okay. You don't have YouTube? Okay. Okay. No problem. If you are here and you like our page, please go to our Facebook. Please do that. We're going to start asking that. We want to say welcome to everyone. So now, as we are going on, we're understanding that there are layers. When you cut into an apple, you know the skin that when you cut it, I don't care when it's cut, there's more to it than just one slice. And you have to peel that skin off in order to enjoy that apple the way you really want to enjoy it raw. Yeah. Some people don't even like theirs cut. If you're like me, I just like to bite into a green apple. But I want you to get the essence of there being layers to your very essence of yourself. Because under all that skin that you're in, there's a core to you as well. Everybody get that? And we're not taking enough time to understand that there's layers to us. There's no scientist here. I'm not a medical doctor. I am, however, a professional life coach. But I want you to understand the essence of yourself. And the reason for this topic today is to motivate you to value yourself. To value yourself. To become in your raw self. To let yourself in to your own house. We're talking about your physical environment, your mental environment that lives in your human body. We're not accessing it enough. And we never tell you here not to cover it up. We tell you that it's okay to be able to access yourself. I don't want you to lose me as we talk about the layers. And Bob, we're still asking you why you like the color black. You say it's cool. That's the same as saying when someone says, how are you doing? I'm fine. But no, when someone asks you, really, how are you doing? Have you ever had a time where there's been a part of you weren't really okay and you said that you were fine? I'm fine. And nobody could pull the layers apart for you. You had to break it down and you just suddenly broke down. How many of you have experienced that? Where you have just broken down?
I have.
Anybody? What was that like for you?
It was relieving. I remember when I didn't have such a good day at school, and my mom asked me, she was like, Treasure, how was your day? How'd it go? And I was like, I'm fine. And I just started crying. I just started breaking down. And my mom was like, tell me what happened. Like, what's wrong? Like, are you okay? And because I told her what happened and actually, expressed how I was feeling, because I couldn't hide it. I tried, but I couldn't hide it because what was inside of me, it just burst out. It just came out of me. And when I told her what happened, the situation, it got addressed and I felt a lot better. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I know for me, when something gets overwhelming and someone asks me, how are you doing? Even your life coach has cried profusely because I have been so overwhelmed. And we're talking about the apple, and I want you to appreciate something. In order to get to the core of the apple, you must access the apple. You must look at it. You must taste it to experience the apple. We're going to talk apple today. And once you've experienced it, you say, wow, that apple's really delicious. But you still haven't gotten to the core of the apple. For me to tell you how many times how many layers it takes for you to get to that apple, that's going to depend upon you. But I want you to know something. You have the power to be able to access the core of the apple as well as the core of yourself. Because how many times have we eaten an apple and we have eaten it to the core? We've all seen what apple seeds look like, right? Right? We eat all the skin away. We get to that core, and it's like, wow. Bob says, no, you've never saw an apple core? Then I'm going to ask you, Bob, to do the simplest thing, and that is to try the apple. Because you won't know until you try it, unless you're allergic. If you're allergic to apples, please don't do this. But you can draw them. You'll all get the sense of it. Getting to the core of yourself. And you know, Bob, you're right. You said you don't want to. Is that you don't want to access yourself? Or you don't want to get to the physical apple core? Which one? Let us define that. Both. Okay. So, unless you're ready, you can't be helped unless you are ready. Because I could talk all day long and tell you this or that, and if you don't want to, I can't help you. You have to want to. You have to give yourself permission to get to the core of you. We appreciate all honesty. See, none of this is scripted, and this is what we want you guys who are listening from all over the world. You guys have listened to this podcast because we're recording it. We have people that come in and they're being raw. And it's okay to be raw, but sometimes being raw doesn't feel comfortable. We get it. I want you to be able to become your true self. And you're doing that right now, Bob. And here's how you're doing it. You're able to interact. Sometimes people come in, they don't interact. So don't give up on yourself. Even if you feel like this is something you've never done before, you've said it, and I want you to be able to know that you hold the power because it's your house and you live there. Your body is your housing. And for you, me, anyone to live in our housed environment and not be able to access ourself. You already have done what? You already have done what? Please and thank you. While you're writing that, I want you to share what have you already done. Because some of us are walking around. You wrote, I'm ready, and then you said, I already have. What have you done already? That's your sentence. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, it's so important. If you want to do a one-on-one just with me, we do it. We only ask you to have a video so that we can see each other. Okay? But right now we're talking about accessing ourselves. Thank you for that. If you would like a one-on-one with me, you can get in touch with me. You can voicemail, but when you do text me, or voicemail especially, leave a contact, okay? And the one-on-ones help you to be able to be a little bit more secure in that you are one-on-one. We require you to have video. I don't do WhatsApp, so please don't call me with that. I will not do it because I want the real you. So when you come here, if you've got a screen name, we want to know what your screen name is. We'll call you by your initials if that's comfortable. But this is a real group here. That's for everybody, not just one person. So back to the apple. Getting to the core. Your true self. How are you today? Because you've got 4 more days. How are you? How has it been for you to feel like you belong? How has that experience? How has life become the real apple? When people say, you're the apple of my eye, what are they really saying? Chris, you want to enlighten us with that? What is someone really saying when they say, hey, you're the apple of my eye?
They're saying that they're interested in you.
Well, they're saying something nice about you, right? My kids can be the apple of my eye. My grandson can be the apple of my eye. My friends can be the apple of my eye. Let's go a level deep. Ready? Are you ready? Because you all say you're ready. I'm going to ask you a question. Come a little closer. But are you the apple of your own eye? Not being narcissistic or anything imbalance, but are you interested in you? And what parts of you are you interested in? Let's start there. You ready? And let's be clear on who we really are. What parts of you are you interested in, or do you like about yourself? Let's try even one. How many of you struggle with that? Okay. How many of you have something about yourself that you are interested in? Because I'm looking at my screen, and if you're saying the same thing, giving me the same answer, you haven't even bent the surface of the apple. And because you're not in the conversation presently, you think you are. But you should be able to answer that question. What was the question, Trish?
The question was, how many of us have something that we're interested in about ourselves?
About yourself, not about state, not about family, not about dogs, yourself. See, we evade the question. What do you like about yourself, Trish?
I like that I am intelligent. I always like to find information about things. So I'm interested in that part of myself.
I love that about you, too. You're very wise. I would have said that about you. I like it that I have a good heart. I like that about me. And no one can make my mind up. I love that about me. And I'll give you an example. Let's say someone has judged someone. Just because your eyes see something about someone doesn't mean that my eyes may see it. You're having a problem with the question, Bob, and that's okay. Because you're saying you like that you have State Fam and your friends. What is interesting about you? Because you still haven't said anything about you. You're talking about the other. The other. The other is state. The other is family. The other is your friends. And I get it. I get it. And it's you know what? You're not wrong for that. Can I just tell you? You like about your heart. What about your heart do you like? Let's start with your heart first. You remember when you said how many layers there are to us? Oh boy. Yeah. You know, Coach Nisi, I go deep. So what is it about your housed environment in your heart do you like? Let's start that. Your heart. Your heart gives you life. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Heart gives you life and it's kind. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to write that somewhere because you were struggling with that, but I want you to give that as a reminder to yourself. Because you see, you're not wrong. If you have a device, you have a keyboard. I want you to write, I want everything you just said, I want to see it in a sentence. I want you to write, I like my heart because it is kind. Can you do that for me right now? And thank you too. And that's okay. We struggle. The first time someone had ever asked me what I liked about myself, I hated everything about me. Maybe that's not you. So I want you to write that. Could you do it, please? I don't care where you write it. You can carve it if you want, but I need you to write that because I want you to understand. Okay, why is it that you can't? We are live, ladies and gentlemen. I'll let you tell me why you can't. Because see, I want to go to the next layer of what is Bob. You don't have those things. You don't have what things? You're on a computer, right? Just you're writing to me now, so I just want you to write the okay. One more time. I just want you to write the sentence. I have a kind heart. Just where you're writing now. Can you see his writing, Trish? Can you
Not
see
really.
him? Okay. because I can look and see where he's writing. So could you do that, please? Just where you are, write that. I'm going to go into the next level of you. And sometimes it's like that, ladies and gentlemen. You said it's kind of scary. I get that. So the next level of our persons are are finding out what makes us kind. Trish, you talked about wisdom. I talked about my heart. What makes the core of me, the next layer of me, is I can tell you why my heart is good. Because I hate injustice. And when I say the word hate, I really mean it. I can't stand to see people treated badly. I can't stand to see people mistreated. See, I can tell you things about my heart. That is my true core. Trish, you can tell me all about your wisdom. And you have that. That's one of the things that put you where you are as the co-host, because you had that from the moment you came in here. And it does look scary, Bob. So I don't want you to think that I'm being rough with you, but that's why you do the one-on-ones, because they help you to get through them. And it is very scary, especially if you've never been asked those kind of questions before. So getting to the layers of you. There are many parts of ourselves. How many of you have ever pretended? You know, when we are kids, we pretend a lot. When I was a kid, I always pretended. Did you pretend? I pretended that I was a mommy with the dolls that I thought were creepy. I did not like baby dolls. Go ahead, Trish.
Yes, I used to pretend all the time. I used to pretend that I was at a concert and I made up my own group. I used to pretend that I was a superhero.
Yeah. So we've all had that experience of pretending, right? What layers of us still feel like we need to pretend? Are there any parts of yourself as you are presently here today that you have to pretend? You know, some people get on the social networks and they pretend to have lots of money, or they pretend through fake profile pictures. They say that's them when it's really not them, right? What parts of yourself do you pretend with? You know, pretending. Because those are the parts of ourselves that we need to get real with. I had to find out. I had to find out with myself what were the parts of me that were real. In other words, why did I not like myself? What was going on with me? Even with our feelings, we can fake our feelings. And some of you cannot take it. But those are the parts of you when you peel those layers to understand why. The word why, Y-H, or excuse me, W-H-Y, that's a layered part of yourself, the whys. How many of you have ever felt like you were lost within your own housed body? You didn't know who you were. You needed to spend some time trying to find out who you are. Anybody?
I have.
Yeah. Sometimes you can become so overwhelmed in your life that you do lose your way. People who work too much, they start to lose their way because they've got to be here, be there, do this, and everything is ran by a clock. And their brain, even when they're asleep, I'm talking about myself and my own experience, guys. Until life is so overwhelming that they say, well, wait a minute. And I'm going to change they to me. I have to say, wait a minute. I'm doing this and that for the students and this and that, being here, meetings and this, kids, this and that, relationships, this and that. Until one day, you know what my brain said? You've got to find time to regroup. And that's not always a bad thing. That's always a thing that we or they, you, them, he, she, her, that is the key in that when we come to grips with who we are, we're able to access ourselves, let ourselves in more clearly. Because you know what I find out? All I needed was mental rest. The body said you needed rest. And I kept ignoring those signals until the core of me said, nope, this is not going to happen today. The experience of just being lost. You hear us use the word discovery. Discovery, you know, it's like when you go apple picking and when you pick the first apple off the tree, you have discovered an apple. But more than that, is it just an apple or is it a beautiful, delicious apple that you've just bitten into and you are able to enjoy it to the fullness? You have discovered that the apple tastes good. Life is like that. You know, you've heard the saying, an apple away or apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, think about your discovery of yourself and what you do for yourself when you become present within yourself. Even if you're all in counseling, even if there are ones who hear this, it's okay. We do real work in here, ladies and gentlemen. I just can't get to the medical side because, rightfully, I stay in my lane. I'm not a doctor. I am a professional life coach that has went to school and have been certified to be able to do the work I do. I want you to start thinking about motivating yourself, the real parts of yourself. There are so many layers. There are so many layers to us that when we get down to the rawness of us, do you think it's going to feel good at first? When you start seeing the you that you are? Because you're valuable. Give yourself permission to be able to see that, hey, I mean something. I'm like that apple. If I encompass enjoyment in life, happiness, and I'm making other people happy, I want some of that too. How many times have we shared apples? I've shared apples. The only reason you would not be able to access yourself is because you don't want to. And it is very, very wrong. You just saw that demonstrated. See, when people come to me, and I have clients, I help them to face challenges as I'm facing it, because I can't tell you guys unless I have empathy, unless I've experienced something similar. And sometimes people just walk out. It's too painful. You're trying to get to the core of yourself just like the apple core. Nobody stops to count how many layers there were before you got to that apple core. But here's the goal. You got to the core. And that is what Vibe Talk is all about. We're going to be right back with Trish's Treasures. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We are back, and today's Monday Motivation is all about getting to the core of you and letting yourself in. Trish, for Trish's Treasures.
I recall as a kid where when we used to get apples, we would twist the stem of the apple, and we'll see like how old the apple is. It's a thing we do with apples, and when we turn the stem about 6 times and it finally pops, it's like, oh, the apple is 6 years old. We used to do that a lot, and I see that as when I was younger and the stages and the phases of my life, they make me who I am. And from the beginning, that's the core of my life and who I am as a person. And every experience that I had, it shaped me into who I am, into my personal apple. I love green apples. They're my favorite. And it just shapes me into who I am as a person. You know, when we eat cherries, peaches, and bell peppers, the core of the bell pepper. It's like inside of it. And it's amazing because it's like the question that kids ask, like, where do babies come from? That's the same thing of who are we? How did we get to be who we are as a person? How did we develop into where people may see you as a strong person and they may ask you, how did you get to be this strong person that you are? How did you get to be so nice? Or wow, how did you get to be so great at singing or drawing or writing? All of that has a lot to do with who you are as a person and you shaping yourself, your experiences shaping you into who you are, getting to the bottom of who you are. That's what I see, the eating the apple all the way to the core. I see it as when people say, I have to get to the bottom of this. That's how I see it. I have to get to the core of this, into who I am as a person. So get to the core of who you are. Get to know yourself.
You did a nice job in that. She understood the assignment. Because that's what it is, getting to know yourself. Why is it that we fail to not think about this more? Getting to know yourself is scary, but also getting to know yourself is full of wonder. I've had the experience of teaching a group of children at a very young age, and to look at that group and know what they discover. It is amazing what the core of those little people come up with. You've grown into a core of a big person, full of wonder, discoveries. Despite what you have come through, you are still just as valuable as the apple core. I want to thank my amazing co-host. Thank you so much. I want to thank all the audience member. Bob was here earlier. We understand things get too deep, but we also want you to know that you must understand the core of yourself. We're so busy trying to do the other. Let's begin with ourselves, getting to the bottom of all of our issues. It's going to take work. It's going to take time. Many of you will answer your own questions. Vibe Talk Facing the Lion has been running now for 3 years. And we're going to continue to run as long as you'll allow us to. Some of you come back, some of you leave. We're going to still be here because we realize that mental and emotional health is necessary. We talk about issues that nobody really thinks about, but it is time. And I want to, for this Monday motivation, motivate you to start thinking about you, the core of you, because that's the essence. That's the embodiment. Your core is the embodiment of who you are and what you're becoming. I want to thank all of you for today's Monday motivation, and we'll see you next time right here. But before we go, we always ask this question about discovery. Why do we ask this question about discovery? To see if you're really paying attention. I'm going to ask the last question before we go. What did you learn about today's podcast on getting to the core? And what did you discover? What did you discover and how did it make you feel, Trish?
I discovered that I learned to be confident in who I am as a person instead of trying to figure out other people's cores and what makes them who they are. Instead of trying to be a peach, I can be who I am, which is which is an apple, meaning I'm trying to be myself instead of trying to fit in. And I'm proud to say that I'm doing a good job at that. And I was where Bob was. Um, it's scary to figure out and say the things that you want to hear from others, to say it to yourself. But I also learned that it's important to hear that I'm actually a smart person from myself, because if they don't say it, I know I'm going to say it about me. And my experience here today, it was a discovery. That's what I would say.
I love it. And you have been inspirational to me today, Trish. You guys get to see firsthand on what my work is and how I work with people. I might be a little tough, but if it wasn't for the people that were in my life that helped me to face all the big lions and the smaller ones too, I could have never got to the layers of myself. I didn't want to hear the things that people were saying about me, that I was a good person, that I was this. It was all positive because I had, for every one thing you said nice about me, I had 10 bad things to say. You see, because in my world, that's what I created for myself. No one told me I wasn't good enough. In my world, I was not good enough. So I had to do the work. And that answers my question of today. I learned and discovered about myself that I had to get to do the work to get here. I would become so mad if someone said, but you're not all those things you say you are, because I was convinced. And it's hard to work through all the layers of yourself because some of those layers aren't pieced together. It's like cutting through the apple or cutting away the layers or the skin off, because they're layers. They don't just come off all at once. Sometimes they come in pieces, and that's how I was. If you've ever seen an apple like that. So when I'm doing the work, what I discover helps me to be able to say, I was once there too. You saw that in the raw today. And we want you to use it. If you're using any of our podcasts, I'd like you to use it for its intended purpose, to help someone else. These are unscripted, ladies and gentlemen. And that made me feel today very vulnerable, to be able to access myself and say, hey, I was there. Hey, I understand. Because I would always evade the question, how am I doing? And Trish said it so nicely today. I love the way she put together her Trish's Treasures. Go look for that. She has some really good things in that. And thank you, Trish, because I felt empowered. Thank you for your impact. We will see you next time we challenge you to get to the core of your matter because you matter. Have a good day, everybody. I was really about to lose it, then I got the vibe with it. I really took the time with it. I really loved the ride with it. Yeah, really got the vibe with it. The sun with it. I really loved the ride with it. Yeah, you can really see I'm better you. When you get the vibe with it. Yeah, when you get the vibe with it. Yeah.